Are Man United finally going to bid for Carlos Baleba? Are Man United finally going to stop talking through intermediaries and go to Brighton direct, go to Paul Barber, go to Tony Bloom and them, man, and say, listen, here's your offer. Here's money down on the table. Well, it very much so looks like that, as Fabrizio Romano has backed up what this new reporters, what these new guys have been saying. Indy Kaler, no one wants to give them credit, but these guys said this a couple of days ago, that Man United are ready in their approach to Brighton. They're ready to get serious. The talking is done, and they want to put some money down on the table. Still a difficult deal to do, but I'm telling you, if we get Baleba, I'm going to move mad. I am. Not stupid, not like we're in the title race now and this, that, and the other, but that is a game-changing signing. And I mean game-changing signing. So listen, I want to hear from you guys, man. Let me know, what should that first bid look like? Should it just be straight? Make sure you get to 100 mil? Are you feeling this whole 80 mil with some add-ons? Is that going to cut it, or are you scared these men are going to walk out the door like when you do a wrong deal in EAFC? I need to know what you lot are saying, man.
Baleba. We're becoming more of a Baleba because a bid could be incoming. And we had heard that if a bid is incoming, then United are confident that they could actually pull this deal off this summer. So Fabrizio Romano, very late last night actually, said that Manchester United were set to approach Brighton as they prepare an opening proposal for Carlos Baleba. Specifically what he said, this was part of his YouTube video as well, he said that Manchester United keep working on this Carlos Baleba deal. The sales of the likes of Garnacho, or as culture camps say, Garnacho, Anthony, Jadon Sancho could be key for a higher bid. It's going to cost a pretty penny to get Carlos Baleba, but if we sell all of those players, it just might be possible. And after the developments yesterday with Jadon Sancho, 20 million quid plus the 5 million loan fee we got for Chelsea, that's 25. Garnacho on his way to Chelsea could be about 45 million quid. That's pure profit. Then you're looking at sort of Anthony, maybe he goes as well. So suddenly that Baleba deal, with any little bit of money we got left in the budget, might actually be feasible. Now, an initial approach to discuss with Brighton reportedly is ready. The deal, like they keep saying, is difficult. Brighton want to keep the player and they want to sell him eventually next year, but Baleba is keen on the move. Now, this is an interesting one as well. Sully Talks, who's one of these ITK accounts, decent track record, saying that Man United and Brighton had these club-to-club talks yesterday regarding Carlos Baleba. No agreement reached, despite some reports. There was a report that came out of Cameroon yesterday that was saying like a deal had been done, and a lot of people actually very quickly came out. I saw Nathan Salt said the same from the Daily Mail, that was a bit quite far-fetched. It wasn't too super accurate. Interestingly, they didn't shoot down the reports from Indy Kaler, but they shot down the reports about a deal being agreed, which I think is quite curious. But Baleba, super keen on the move. More talks are to follow with both the club and the player. Still seen, once again, as a complicated deal.
And before you carry on, Owen, if you just go back one, to Romano, because someone did put this in the chat, which was interesting, that he's phrased it differently on X versus Instagram. So I've just got the Instagram post before you get to the next post, just to give a bit of context on the Romano thing, because okay, that's what it says there. Man United keep working on Carlos Baleba deals, sales. Garnacho, Anthony Sancho could be key for higher bid. But on Instagram, the way he's put it, because he's put initial approach to discuss with Brighton ready, is what he's written on X. But on Instagram, he's put Man United set to approach Brighton as they prepare opening proposal to try and make deal happen. He gives a bit more oomph of it. And then he does say, obviously, deal remains difficult. Brighton insists to keep Carlos eventually. Selling talent in midfield in 2026, but Manchester United want to try it also based on sales. So it is, I'm not, just to say in case anyone was confused, it is the same thing he's saying, but you might see set to approach Brighton as they prepare opening proposal rather than initial approach to discuss with Brighton ready. You know what I mean? It's slightly different worded. So, but overall, I think with the two posts, you come to the conclusion that Man United are ready in their first steps towards Brighton, which is a bid. You should imagine.
And
well,
again,
an approach. Is it a bid, or is it the first approach to Bloom and Barber to say, right, we're ready to bid. What do you want? I think it could be that, you know.
Yeah, it could be a bit of both. And then again, this kind of comes after what Kelly was saying yesterday, which again, the reputation of if this is reliable or not continues to be discussed because, of course, about 48 hours ago, Fletcher did the video on it saying that this bid was imminent after a board meeting, saying that United had this meeting. Ruben Amorim was insistent, got to get Carlos Baleba. The club's credit facility is in place, so they're ready to make a move. They're ready to make a bid. And United is about to test Brighton's patience with an official bid. Now, obviously, still there is a lot of skepticism surrounding how reliable that account is and what have you. But no one shot it down. And then 48 hours later, we then get reports from, Fabrizio Romano, very credible people, saying that, yeah, they are preparing to approach Brighton and possibly discuss what a bid could possibly look like. So, again, is it one of those ones where Indicalia just sort of went, well, this is probably what I think is going to happen, so I'll just put it out there and, then it is turned out to be correct? Or have they heard something because that source on this Baleba deal specifically is accurate? I don't know. Either way, it looks like United at least going to try flex. They're going to try and put a bid in.
This is again, because you have to, temper expectations. All this is the reason why we're still here believing. That's it. That, you can't really go any further than that. And this is why I'm so comfortable in when Indicalia speak about this, I'm giving it the same energy. I keep saying it wrong. I said I've been so consistent on that I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they, went early and Ornstein co-signed them. And then, like I said, even yesterday, even literally this time yesterday morning, I said, even if you don't take Indicalia's word for it, Ornstein has backed it up. You know what I mean? So again, if you didn't take Indicalia's word for it yesterday when I did that video on the way to TalkSports when the news was breaking that a bid's imminent, well, take Fabrizio Romano's word for it then. Whichever one you want until you start actually giving them a bit of credit in this running, until they don't deserve the credit or until it's, well, they had a good run or the streets won't forget. Until it's that, it's this. And they keep reporting more developments before the big boys. That's how it's going. That's 2 now.
Yeah, well, and also, Danny Luciano says in the chat, please stop referencing you guys. It was one thing. And I think you make a good point there. Now. You make a good point there, Flex, to be fair, which is, okay, then, if we just say then we're not going to disregard that, don't listen to it. It's not reputable, regardless of what Ornstein said, regardless because of the history, the parody, and all that kind of stuff. Romano's now said, if we're just focused on the top boys, and you go, I only listen to Ornstein and Romano. Romano said that the Man United are they're gonna put together to go to Brighton and say, let's talk, let's do it. So don't even talk about Indy. We're talking about now we're talking about Fabrizio. Fabrizio saying, yeah, United, they're ready to make an approach to see if they can put this bid in. And David Ornstein, I think it was 2-3 days ago, was like, Man United will only bid if they feel like they're not worried about the player wanting to join, but they will only bid if they feel like they can do a deal. So this would suggest once again that United have heard something to tell them this is possible, this is feasible. We've got some kind of noise or some kind of signal over the last couple of days that we think we can pull this off. Now, has that signal specifically come from Brighton, or has it come from actually more the exit side of things at Old Trafford? We'll talk about Sancho in a bit, but Sancho looks like actually that what he might actually go, and we might actually have some obligation money, whatever that actually looks like. But then Garnacho as well. That's a pure profit sale. We keep forgetting that. That's a pure profit sale. So from a PSR point of view, okay, that opens up things quite significantly. And we still don't know what Manchester United's budget actually was this summer in general, because we signed Mateus Cunha, and that was based off last year's account. So the 2 signings on this year's accounts are Brian Mbeumo and Benjamin Šeško. The Šeško deal, we didn't even think we had money to do that. And suddenly we're going, that's a bit of a large outlay for a club that's got no money. So at this point, we don't know how much we've got left over or don't have left over. Now, it probably isn't £100 million to go bid on Carlos Baleba, but if it's like halfway there, if it's sort of like a 40 or 50 million, or there's a little bit of money left over, there's a bit more money than people think left over, then if you do sell Garnacho, if you do sell for Garnacho for, let's say, 40, 50, whatever it is, if you do sell Jadon Sancho for about 20, 25 overall, suddenly that's 70 million quid plus what you've already got. And that's enough.
Exactly. We think it'll be enough.
That could be enough to go get Carlos Baleba, or at least start testing the result of Brighton and start moving it forward. So suddenly go, yeah, the deal is very feasible. It's just a case of if Brighton want to sell. And Brighton have always gone on the record of like, we don't want to sell, but we're not that club to say that any player's priceless, because that's ridiculous.
If the valuation is met, I think they'll sell him. It's whether we can convince them to be slightly south of that valuation. Do you know what I mean? That's the
structure of the deal. The structure of the deal.
Or the structure of the deal. Like, if you can you let us have quite a few add-ons here? We'll give you 80 up front, 75 up front. But the deal will, Liverpool got to 150, but they put 100 up front. That's 50 million of add-ons. That's a lot of add-ons.
Yeah.
I think it'll have to be something along those lines. Here's 75, 80 now. We're going to give you the other 20 to 25 over the next XYZ. So we will total a package of 100 million. It will get reported as that 100 million, or then they'll flip it into euros and dollars. So all of a sudden it'll be $150 million or whatever the crazy thing is. Don't care. Yeah. Let's just stick to the pounds. I think if we can give them a package that totals 100 million over the course of X amount of years, then great. But like Franklin says there, Brighton are the toughest negotiators, should I say. It's whether they go for that. I think if you give them a high enough fee up front, it could satisfy them. It's all about that. It's all about that fee up front, man. Because if it's too low and it's going to take too long to get to the 100, they're not going to get their 100 million until bloody 5 years down the line, or it's not enough up front. They're just going to say, no, he's not worth 62.5 million. He's not worth 68 million now. What you do? No, we want 80 now, or 85 now.
What we're saying as well is, and this is the other part of it, and you want to talk about intent and ambition from Ineos. Let's face it, if we sign Carlos Baleba in this transfer window, we are going to have to break our transfer record. Our transfer record is Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
89.3 million pounds, I think the fee is, right? I know people like to always go, it was 100 million. It was 100 million euro, wasn't it? But it was 80 in pounds. So it's like around 89 million pounds. If Man United sign Carlos Baleba, they will break that transfer record.
And that's where it gets crazy, Owen, of where I've got. Remember I was saying the other day where none of us are really going, do we want 100 million? Is that what 100 million gets? Should we do that? No one saying.
And you want to talk about ambition, and you would not be able to question Ineos, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's ambition if we break our transfer record and also buy Cunha and Bumo, Sheshko in a transfer window. If you're Ruben Amorim, you can't be like, well, I can't deliver. I haven't got the players or anything like that. You've got to be like, mate,
nothing.
You've been absolutely bad. It will be smashed.